Alright, so we'll do some bit of testing in this particular video, and I'm going to start by creating a component. That's what we are going to test, right? So I'm just going to type ngg-component and the name of the component to be user, right? And yeah, let's just build this. Now I'm doing it through the Angular CLI, so it just gives me the specs that I'm going to look out for, and then we'll kind of build this up. And I'm also going to generate a service. I'll call it as user service again. Now notice this already has the spec in the user component right here, and even the service has the spec over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to start this project, or maybe we just test this project here. And as of now, we'll see user component is kind of simple. So let's just have something at least in the application to test. I'm going to create here in the user service a user object with, let's consider just a name property to be Ravi, right? And I'm going to go down to the TS file right here. We'll dependency inject this user service. So I can just type in here user service of type user service, and maybe I can just declare the provider here because it's going to be sufficient for this component at least. So just type in here user service, and so we have user service dependency injected, and then somewhere here in the onNet method I'm going to just simply write this dot user dot name property. Maybe let's consider this to be user service dot user dot name, right? And we'll just do it with the name here itself, right? And we'll have name as a string right here. Now, so we have some bit of scenarios right here. I don't know, some of these cases definitely fail here, but we'll go down and inspect what has gone wrong right here. So the user spec service already contains the the boilerplate code that I need to write before each. So it's happening before each here, and it's doing a before each here as well. At two places it's kind of doing before each. One with running it with sync option right here. So I think I'm not really going to use the the async option right here. I'll just kind of use this particular method, and I'm going to take this off from here. Or maybe this is the test bed creation, so I just forgot. This of course we need to do to set the test case up. And what I'm going to also do is I'm just going to type in here this another if statement over here. And now, as of now, all the test cases have passed. The user service has been created and the user component has been created. So user component, I'm just kind of creating one more test case right here, and I'm just going to say that at least the user service and the user component names are same. Now to do this, I'm just going to use the component here itself. So I'll just say expect the component dot name property to be, now we basically need an instance of the service. Can I just do it right here itself? Since it's just a service class, I can just type in here user service, let the user service of type user service be a new user service object. And you might be interested in kind of creating constructors right here and then do it in the constructor itself. So just type in here, maybe just can take in the name property right here. So it's a public name as a string value, and can just type in here this dot user dot name as name. Now I'll just go down to the code back here into the TS file, and so I just expected this to be pass the value here as Ravi. That's, I mean, it was just hard coded. I didn't really remember that, but even if you do this, then you expect this to be component name to be the same as user service dot user dot name, isn't it? And you save this. Now there is a kind of bit of an exception right here. It says user should be created, user component should be created, and that is kind of failed because it now has a constructor that we induced. So it's kind of my bit of fault right here. I'm just going to remove this from here, from the user service. See, because I just kind of did a mistake thinking that the user needs to be initialized, but it's kind of already is, isn't it? So I'll just go down here, and without initializing this object from here, I'll just simply pass in this property. So this should be all right, right? So the component name that I have should be the same as user service name, and of course truth is not required to be checked here again. I just need to check the values. So very simple test case, but I think it really does what we intend to do right here. And if it wasn't really the same, right, maybe we can just change the values of the service method right here. So go down into the service method and change the values to just make it one more I right here, and I'm sure it's going to fail then, and you'll get to know what the real error is. So now that's where you'll have to be a little cautious. So I said to be this, but I think it should be expect the component dot name dot to equal this right here. Now to be really means a reference check, and then when you're trying to use an equal condition, right? I mean the content should be equal as well. So that's what I think it's going to do. And we go down to the service name, which is this, and the component name, which is this. I mean, of course, as of now it's just the same, but what we'll also do is we'll just go down to the username and kind of change this value. So I'll not use the service name, I'll just use here some other name. For example, I'll just use here Ravi. And now you'll notice the names are not same. Ravi and Ravi are different, right? So just make it back, like use the same name over here, and I think we should be fine with this. So we've at least started on how to do the testing part right here. We'll continue in this in the next section, and do a little bit more of testing on services as well.